Hey guys, this is Andrea with Notebooks Given, and today is going to be a weekly check-in. So this is a little bit late, but what I'll be doing is I'll be going over the transactions that occurred between May 18th through the 24th. If you are new, hello, so glad that you are here. I'm just going to be going over what I spent in the past week, so I'll get you guys zoomed in and then I'll be right back. And we are back. So if you are new, this is a tracking sheet that I had purchased from the Printable Plans. It's on Etsy and it will be linked in the description below. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and write down the date that that transaction occurred, a description of where the transaction was done at, like grocery store or whatever, and then what sinking fund or what envelope it came out from, the dollar amount, and then whether or not I paid with cash or card. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one is going to be on May 19th. This is one I keep forgetting about. So I have a Paramount subscription and I don't have it coming out of like bills or utilities because I feel like that's more of a want than an actual need. And so I just pretty much call it from my personal spending, and so that one was charged to my card, and that one was $7.99, but I just rounded it up to $8. So that was with I'm gonna say that one was with, I'll say that was with the card, and then what I'll do is I took out the $8 and put it towards my credit card cash that I'll use to pay off my credit card. Then the next one was Jake took the day off to he wanted the day off to kind of prep what we needed for camping. We went dispersed camping, and we needed to get some supplies like food and just some miscellaneous things. And so what he did was he went to Wilco and he just purchased just a couple things. First, he had purchased a cooler that we've been needing to get one. We have like an insulated backpack that we had purchased from Costco a couple years ago, but for the amount of food that we were bringing, it wasn't going to be enough. So we just figured that this was the time for us to get a cooler. And so that one, splitting up the cost, was $30. And so that one, I would say that was probably with cash. And then we also got a lead for Lily. So the last time that Jake's parents were in town, the last time that Jake's parents were in town, we went to go hang out with them at the KOA close to where we live, and we brought Lily's lead with us. It's just basically like a big cable that has clips, so that way you can tie, dogs to a certain spot so they don't go out too far, if you're not familiar. And no, that wasn't with the card, that was with cash. Sorry. We're pretty positive that they stole it from us, not on purpose, but we're pretty positive that they accidentally took it back with them when they packed up their trailer. And so that one was just replacement, so it wasn't that bad. It was $21.99. And then Jake also went to Safeway to get some of the groceries that we were going to need. So we had signed up for sandwiches and hamburgers. So each couple brought 2 dishes, so either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So Jake and I got lunch and dinner. So we made sandwiches, and then later on in the evening we made hamburgers, and it worked out nicely because then we had everything that we needed as far as like condiments and the lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, what have you, cheese that would be working well between the 2 meals. So for that one, I am just saying that as coming out of the vacation sinking fund, and that one was $79 for everything. But we had so much. I'm going to say that one was with cash as well. Because Jake was the one that made the purchases, and then I just gave him the cash. So that one was with cash. So sorry about the shaking, friends. And then the next day, after we had gone over our packing list, there was a couple things that needed to be replaced, and then I also wanted to get some extra snacks. So from Kroger, I didn't get anything else too much. I just got like some chips that were on sale, and those were 602. That was with the card. And then home, this was batteries. So we took a air mattress, but what's nice about it is that it's not one of those super high air mattress. It's really low, so it fits perfectly in our 4-person tent. So it's, I think it might be a full or queen, I can't remember, but it's small enough that it fits in the tent, and it's really low to the ground, so it's not like high that takes up so much space in the tent. And we had borrowed our friend's air pump, and it needed replacement batteries. So I'm just saying that that's just going to come out of the home account. Nothing. It could have came out of the vacation, but it's fine. So out of the home, that one is $15.98. So while the home sinking fund is used for, for future purposes, if it's also related to like household items, that's where we would get the money from. And then as far as the air mattress being borrowed from a friend, we have borrowed this air pump from him multiple times. We've borrowed it from him. This is probably like the 4th time. And so when he told us that it wasn't working as well and that we might need to get new batteries, it was like totally fine with us getting the batteries, obviously, since we've been using it. And then I don't know why we just don't get our own. But in the meantime, we've been borrowing our friends, and it's been working out for us. So that was also with the card. And then the last one was I just needed to get some, what was this? This was, bug spray. So I am notorious for getting bitten by mosquitoes. I get really, really bad, like, welts, and then they get really itchy, and of course I'm itching them. I've tried, like, like Benadryl itch cream and stuff, and I've tried ice packs, and they just get so bad. And so I tried to get, or not I tried, but I got some bug spray, and I'm hoping, I did get one bite. I don't see any other ones, and so I'm hoping that it worked, since I only just got one instead of like multiple that I normally get whenever I go out camping or I'm outdoors during this time of year. So I'm hoping that it's working and that it's a good one. So that was for the bug spray. And then later on in the day, we, since we had been so busy of doing all this last minute, purchasing of stuff for the camping trip, we did not want to make dinner. So we went to get sushi. And for sushi, that came out of the food envelope. And so for me, I spent $12, and that one was with cash. So that's pretty much all the spending that I had for the last week. It's pretty minimal since there wasn't much going on in the week. And then I'm assuming that next week when I go over the transactions again, it probably might not be a lot since we were out camping and we didn't really go into the town for anything. So it might be a little bit less action. But what I'll do next is I'll go ahead and get you zoomed out, and then we'll look to see what we have in the binders. Okay, I'll be right back. And we are back. And so one thing I forgot to mention was I forgot to say there was a really good question that I had received on one of my previous videos. I believe it might have been a weekly check-in, but the question was, how do I go about tracking all my expenses? And so I kind of have a mix of different tricks, I guess. The first one being that I keep my receipts. I'll, if the place offers a receipt, either it be digital or print copy, I'll ask for one of them, and that helps at least with tracking how much was spent. Another thing that I do is I used to carry like a little notebook. They have them at like the dollar store, and it's like this super duper tiny pocket one that can fit in my purse, and so I would just write it down really quickly if I was using cash, or if it's just like a place that doesn't really offer receipts. And or another thing that I do is I have in my wallet, I have a little to-do list. This is an A7. I think I got this from Amazon. If you guys are interested in where I purchased the little to-do sheets, let me know and I can put that in the description below. But I'll also use this for writing down my transactions, and then this is this little back pocket of where I keep all my receipts. And I usually clear out the receipts every time I get paid, just so that way it's not adding so much bulk to my wallet. But any type of like little piece of paper that I can just throw into my wallet really helps out. And then another thing that I'll also do is it really helps if I write down the transactions that happened that same day. And so what I have is, I know that you might have seen it in my other binder or in this binder every now and then, I'll have the spending trackers. So I'll just write down the date, what it was, how much I spent, and then the remaining balance. So then at least then I'll see what I have remaining in cash to spend. And the thing with the trackers or just writing down your transactions at the end of the day, what I've noticed for myself was it hurts. It hurts so much seeing how much you're spending. Before, when I first started getting into cash budgeting, it was wild seeing how much I was spending on coffees, on eating out. And so I went from like me going out to get coffee like 5 times a day. Like, it's kind of rough for me, embarrassing a little bit for me to say that, because that would have been over $20 each week. And then not only that, but if I ate out 3 or 4 times a week as well, just for work lunches, not me taking lunches to work, but just work lunches alone, that would easily be like $10 to $12. That's not including if I get like sides or like a drink as well. So you can see how that could, add up really quickly as far as where the money's going. And so when I first started working out my budget, I noticed that one of the things that really made it crystal clear of my spending habits was me writing down my transactions every day until I figured out the amount that I was set to spend between like every time I got paid. So writing it down helps out a lot. And as far as like, keeping track of like how much money you have out like left over in your envelopes. But then it also like kind of like hurts for me. It hurts a little more as far as seeing what I spent the money on, especially if it's something that I know I didn't need to spend that money on something in particular. Then it's like, oh, come on. Like, but that's just me. It might not work for everybody, but for me, it makes the budget much more realistic when I'm writing it down and reflecting on my purchases, mindful spending. So reflecting on what you spent during the day, where that money's going, and if it served its purpose or not. So that helped. And then another funny thing that what I do is sometimes if I forget, I'll ask Jake. Like if it's like a long day and I can't really remember what happened during the day or during the past couple days, I'll ask Jake like, hey, do you remember like where we went? Do you remember what we did? If I just happen to be like in a rush and I didn't have the chance to get a receipt or write down the transaction, I'm like, why am I short like $15 or why am I short $30? I'll ask Jake like, hey, do you remember anything that might have happened? Sometimes they'll be helpful, so ask around. If you know someone that's like with you regularly, maybe they might have a clue as to where your money went. And then another one is checking my bank statements. So if I'm using the card, just making sure that I take the money out of the envelope so I could put into my debt envelope, so that way when I get paid, I have the money there to pay off the credit card. And so definitely helps with writing down the transactions daily if you can. And then if not, I try just not to go more than 2 days of not writing down my transactions. Otherwise it just gets super messy and I don't like it. So that's just to help out for the person that had asked the question. I do appreciate that you asked, and I hope that helped. I don't really have any visuals for it as much other than just me explaining it. So if that is something that might help you out, by all means try it out. And so what I'll do next is I'll go ahead and see how much money I have left in the budget. So for food, while it might seem like there's not a lot of money based off of how much money I originally put into the envelope, just a fun like tidbit, I use the money, if you're new, I use the money for my variable expenses to fund my savings challenges. So that's why you'll see me not save as much as far as like anything. Like I can't remember the last time I saved more than like $30. So it's whatever I have available in my variable expenses goes to my savings challenges. And so while I only have $10 for food, I'm betting that a lot of it also probably went to funding savings challenges. So I have $10 for food, That's not too bad. I'm glad that there's actually rollover. For date night, I still haven't spent any of this. I'm still so close to being able to take Jake on this special little surprise that I want to do for him. So that is $45 for date night. Depending on the next roll, when I get paid, I might be able to take him out sooner than later. So we shall see. Next is home. Home also went to help fund some savings challenges, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Look at all the ones. I'm so excited that I have ones. Whew, it'll be nice just to only have to go to the bank to withdraw just 5s and 10s, so that'll be cool. Personal, I think this also might have 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So definitely personal went to paying for the Paramount. I don't really think that there's any other transactions that personal came out of. Let me just double check really quick. So besides Paramount, the only other thing that it came out of was for the Y2K prom coming up in, I think, a couple weeks. So just $5 left from personal. So I'm assuming that, or not assuming, a lot of it probably went to savings challenges since I didn't really spend it. Miscellaneous also is used to help fund savings challenges if I don't need a buffer, but it looks like I just have $5 for miscellaneous. And then Jake's birthday, this is just being started again since his birthday had passed, and since I'm not spending this money until his next birthday, we are still sitting pretty with $11. Nice and steady with this one. And then for debt, so debt is going to have a lot of ones, but this is going to basically be when I get paid. What I'll do is I'll use the money that I have on hand in my variable expenses envelopes, the debt envelope, plus whatever money I have for my savings challenges, to reallocate that money back into my variable expenses. And then the money that I have for debt, that money from my paycheck will be used to pay off my credit card, and so it just kind of gets recycled. I think it's the best way that people in the budgeting community explain it. But for debt, I have 10, 20, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. So it's not too bad. Yeah, definitely not too bad. I've had more, but this will be used to pay off the credit card, and then once the credit card's paid off, I will just have that money cycled back in. So I think that's all I have for today, friends. Not too much spending, just because, again, we were anticipating going camping, and then majority of our money didn't come from food. It just came from vacation, because it was basically like a vacation. So yeah, so what I'm going to do next is when I do get paid, what I'll do is I'll have this money be rolled over to a savings challenge, and I think I'm still going to put it towards Bunny Box. Just, yeah, I think it's going to be for Bunny Box. So thank you guys again for being here. I hope that tidbit earlier about how I go about tracking my expenses and writing down my transaction helped. If it did, but yeah, I hope that this was helpful in any type of way, and as always, I appreciate you guys being here, and then I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye.